Hi, welcome to Dorm Room Discussions. I'm Joshua Gingwick. Today, I would like to talk to you about sports. As sports have begun to return following postponements due to COVID-19, many leagues decided to house their teams in bubbles, or isolated campuses designed to keep the virus out and allow gameplay to resume as close to normal as possible. The MLS and NBA have done theirs in Disney World. The WNBA went to the IMG Academy in Florida, and the NHL is doing two bubbles, one in Edmonton and the other in Toronto, before they will house in Edmonton for the rest of the postseason. However, I do not want to talk about the leagues that are doing bubbles. I want to talk about the leagues that are not doing them, specifically MLB and the NFL. I want to discuss why these teams decided not to do bubbles, the effects of not doing a bubble, and where they should go from here. Now, as for Major League Baseball, they considered a bubble back in April when the world was still adjusting to the new reality. There were two possibilities that were considered. One, putting all 30 teams in Arizona, or two, dividing the teams based on the spring training locations with 15 in Arizona and 15 in Florida. However, MLB was unable to pitch the bubble plan to the players, with some coming out and saying that they were unwilling to be away from their families for so long. Another issue was the extreme heat, as both states' temperatures averaged with over 90 degrees Fahrenheit in the summer. Also, back in April, the testing issues were much more pronounced than they are now, and there was concern that getting tests for hundreds and thousands of people might not have been feasible at the time. I was initially wary about a bubble back in April for those reasons, which I voiced in an article for the JMU student newspaper, The Breeze, an article I will link below. As for the NFL, they have no plans to go to a regular season bubble, and this close to the regular season, there probably isn't enough time to do one if they want to start on time. According to ESPN, the league did consider it, but decided against it. They felt instead by having minimal off-field contact, along with thorough contact tracing, then they could handle the virus effectively, which is much like what the MLB has done as well. And that's the big question. Is trusting the players to behave themselves off-field and doing massive testing enough, or should all leagues be doing bubbles? I would say that MLB and NFL are making grave mistakes. While I was initially concerned about the viability of a bubble back in April, I now believe it is the safest and smartest decision upon seeing what those other leagues have done. We've already seen two massive outbreaks in MLB, with the Miami Marlins and St. Louis Cardinals being forced to not play for nearly 2 weeks due to more than a dozen confirmed cases on each team. According to reports, the Cardinals allegedly went to a casino, and the Marlins supposedly went to a bar, which may have been responsible for the outbreaks. And as a result, other teams refused to play them because of concerns that they would catch the virus while on the field together. And that's coming from a sport that is for the most part socially distanced. Think about what might happen in a sport that contact and a lack of social distancing is required in football. So these leagues probably didn't make the right decisions by not doing bubbles for the regular season. So what now? Where can they go from here? Right now, MLB is considering a postseason bubble, as they have seen two outbreaks that have threatened the cancellation of the season. In addition to those two outbreaks, the Cincinnati Reds and New York Mets were forced to not play for a few days due to a positive COVID test on their team. Now, I hope MLB does a bubble for the playoffs. It'll somewhat make up for the dithering and arguing over money they did for much of June. And with the success that other leagues have had, a bubble probably gives MLB the best chance of finishing the postseason when late into the fall the flu becomes more rapidly spreading, and it could lead to an increase in the number of COVID cases. As for the NFL, ESPN reported that they are likewise exploring a possibility of a playoff secure environment. While the details on that are usually scarce right now, I hope they have looked at what MLB's done and the effects of not doing a bubble and reconsidered this. So these leagues were unable to pitch a bubble to their players. They have had shown effects to the lack of not doing a bubble, and now they have considered it. Hindsight is 2020, but at the end of the day, health needs to be made a priority. People's livelihoods are more important than the money that would be made from sports play. This has been Dorm Room Discussions. I'm Joshua Gingwick. Have a good day.